Okay, now that you have your petition completed, all the pages are numbered, it's bound together correctly, you know you have enough signatures. The next thing you have to do is to prepare a cover sheet so that the Board of Elections knows whose petition it is and all of the relevant information that will be on the cover sheet. Again, as we go through the cover sheet, we have to remind ourselves here that the cover sheet needs to be reflective of the petition that it's attached to. So in the event, or in the case of our petition, we chose a Republican committeeman petition. And obviously up here, it would have to say Republican Party designating petition, just as it says um, on the petition itself. And cover sheet tells us that this is the very first sheet of the petition. The name of the candidate will have to appear on the cover sheet just as it appears on the petition. So in the event it says on the petition Leonard A. Roberto, it has to say Leonard A. Roberto on the cover sheet. Try to make sure that whatever name appears here is exactly as it appears on the petition and is exactly as that name should appear at the Board of Elections. The information on this in this section is actually the very same as the petition itself. The position that the individual is running for, in this case it's a committeeman, District 4 of the town of Newstead in the county of Erie in the state of New York. And again, my fictitious mailing address, 123 Main Street, Akron, New York, including the town of Newstead. I'm just very adamant about putting that town of whatever town you're from in there, so the Board of Elections cannot use its absence as a reason to throw your petition out. When this page is added to the petition, it's put on the front, in front of all of your ones. It should be the very first page, obviously, of your petition. Uh, Typically speaking, most petitions will only have one volume. For petitions that have a significant number of signatures, tens of thousands of signatures for statewide races and things of that nature, possibly a congressional run, things of that nature. The petition is broken up into manageable sections, and each of those sections is given a volume number. For most petitions, particularly a committee petition, it will always be volume 1, and the total number of volumes is 1. If you have 2 volumes and you're running for a larger office that requires more signatures, it would be volume 1 of 2 or 3 or 4, and then 3 of those items if you have 3 volumes. An identification number is not required by the Board of Elections. It is for your personal use, so you have a way to identify each particular volume. Most people don't use the identification number at all. As I have said before, the cover sheet has become less critical over the years, and the courts are much more accommodating for the information on the cover sheet. The information that is contained up in this area has to be validated by either the candidate or someone that has been designated by the candidate's agent. That agent could be your campaign manager. It could be someone who is brought on board specifically to run the petition drive. Whoever you designate as that individual has to sign this in this section here. Then there is this section down here, which tells the Board of Elections in the event there is a problem with the petition or they need to get a hold of you because of concern relative to the petition, who do they contact? And so in this case, I used my fictitious friend just in case. He lives at 246 Main Street, Akron, New York, town of Newstead. And his mailing address is also 246 Main Street, Akron, New York, in the town of Newstead. I gave him a phone number. I also included a fax number so that in the event the Board of Elections needs to fax me something, there's a fax number that they can send information to. And then also there is an email address if they want to send me something by email to let me know that there is a problem with the petition or there is a concern that they have, they can send me an email concerning the petition. There is no requirement for the email. There's no requirement for the fax number. In fact, there's no requirement for the phone number. But if you want them to get a hold of you in the event you have a problem, the more information you put there, the better off you are going to be. Once that information is on the cover sheet, that information has to be allowed to be used by the Board of Elections. And again, either the candidate or the candidate's agent would have to sign this item here in order to allow the Board of Elections to use that information. Now, once this page is done, it is two-hole punched just like the petition, and it's added to the front of the petition where all your ones would be, right at the it's the first page of the petition. And once you have that done, then what you do with your petition is you take the petition to a Kinko's or some copier service, or if you have the ability, copy it at your home or in your office. Copy the petition in its entirety as it is being submitted to the Board of Elections. This is very important because you want to have a copy that is exactly like the one that's being submitted. Once you make the copy, you cannot make any changes to the original petition that's being given to the Board of Elections. And thinking of the original, be very, very careful not to give the copy instead of the original to the Board of Elections. Copies of petitions are automatically thrown out. So be careful not to do that. It has happened in the past to someone that I know, and it's something that you don't want to do. So make a copy of the petition, and once the copy is made, just as you did when you first put the petition together, you go through the petition one page at a time, looking for those numbers at the bottom of the page, starting with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you make sure that the petition is still in sequential order. Make sure your copy is in sequential order. And that way your petition doesn't get thrown out because somebody inadvertently took it apart and put it together incorrectly. When that is complete, when you're absolutely certain that your petition is correct, your cover sheet is where it belongs, your petition sheets, the individual sheets are in the correct order, they're numbered at the bottom, you have a sufficient number of signatures, and the copy is identical to the original, on the day indicated in the political calendar, and there are 3 of them. Typically, there are 3 days where an individual can submit a petition to the Board of Elections for ballot access. I generally tell people to go on the very last day at the very last hour. Get in there at the very end. And the reason you want to do that is because if someone else has put a petition in for the same office, you want a copy of that petition, or you want some acknowledgement that a petition for that same office exists. When you give the petition to the Board of Elections, they will either give you a receipt or date stamp the original. If you can, have them date stamp the copy as well. It's important that in the event there is a dispute between the candidate and the Board of Elections, when you go to court, that the court is affirmed, is certain that your copy is exactly as the original was given to the Board of Elections. Every petition, once it's, if in the event the petition is disqualified at the Board of Elections, the candidate has 3 days to file an appeal in court. And if you have the right information and if you follow the steps laid out in this process, the court will reinstate your petition. There's one last item that needs to be reviewed, and that is which Board of Elections should I take my petition to? In the event that you have a committeeman petition, generally you would, not generally, but always you would take that to the county Board of Elections in the county where you are running for public office. So in our case, I'd be running for a committee position in the town of Newstead, which is in the county of Erie. I would file this petition in Erie County's Board of Elections. When you are running for an office such as the Assembly or the Senate or some other office that could go beyond the geographic boundaries of the county and include multiple counties, those petitions have to be filed at the Board of Elections in Albany. So once you have your petition done, if it transcends or goes beyond geographic boundaries of one county, it needs to be filed in Albany. I think that's all the information you're going to need to successfully obtain ballot access. As always, if there's anything we can do for you, you can contact us on the Primary Challenge New York website. It's primarychallengeny.com, or you can contact me on my cell phone, which is 716-207-7138. Best of luck to you.